Welcome back to Soulful Strategies with Kathleen Amy. This is where business meets intuition and where we talk about strategy and systems in a way that actually honors how people make decisions. Because I think one of the biggest gaps online is that we're taught to treat people like they're robots. We're taught to act like we're robots when we run a business. Like if you just say the right thing and put in the right prompts in the right format at the right time, then they'll buy. And that's just not how it works in real life, especially not for the kind of businesses most of you are building, where people are hiring you or buying your product because of your mind and your standards and the way you hold things. And I want to talk about something today that I keep noticing, both collectively and inside client work. And it sounds like this. I'm showing up, I'm posting, I'm talking about this offer, I'm doing the things. So why does it still feel like people need so much warming up before they hire me or before they buy my thing? Or why does it feel like people love the content and then when it's time to actually invest, there's this hesitation, or they want to call, or they want to ask a million questions, or it feels like you're constantly reintroducing yourself? And honestly, this is particularly for service-based businesses. It's not that they're not probably seeing you enough, although it could be. It's often a proximity problem. And it's because when someone hires you for a service, especially anything nuanced or relational or higher trust, they're not just buying an outcome. They're buying how you think. They're buying your discernment. They're buying your judgment, your pace, your way of holding nuance. And you cannot communicate that fully in a single caption. Even if it's a brilliant caption, even if it's the best thing you've ever written, you cannot communicate that in a single post or a single caption. So people don't just need to see you or see you once or read your caption once. They need enough time with you that you stop feeling like a complete stranger or someone that they couldn't trust with their business. And this is why I'm not overly attached to engagement as a measure of readiness for people, because so many of the people who eventually hire you are actually the quiet ones. They're listening while they're driving. They've got one AirPod in while they're doing dinner. They're watching your stories and they're never reacting. They're reading your emails and they're never replying. And then one day they message you like, hey, are you taking clients? And you're like, who is this? And they're like, I've been here for months, years even sometimes. And that happens all the time because that familiarity builds privately. And in my own business, the really warmest enquiries almost always come from people who have heard me think. They've listened to the podcast, watched a longer video, they've sat with something that actually went somewhere, not just a neat little point, a neat little caption. They've had time with my thought process. And when someone's had that experience, the call that you get on together is so much different. They don't come in cold. I do clarity and connection calls. They're 15 minutes. The person's not coming in cold. They don't need you to perform. They don't need convincing. And I want to say this carefully because I don't mean they shouldn't confirm. Confirmation is really healthy and you should confirm. That's discernment. It's wise to want to check something is aligned before you invest, especially in a service. But the energy shifts. It's different. The energy has moved from convincing someone to buy your thing or to hire you to confirming. And I can feel that in my body when it's that kind of conversation. I can feel that energy because it's not me trying to prove anything. It's not me trying to persuade someone into a yes. It's just two people being in the same space energetically, even if digitally, and checking, does this actually feel aligned? Can I genuinely help you? Can we see this working together? Do we both feel good about the way this should unfold? And that's the vibe. And this is why my calls are 15 minutes now. They used to be 30. They used to be more exploratory. And over time, as my visibility strengthened and people have had more touch points before booking, I didn't need that much time. They'd already listened. They'd already absorbed. They'd already resonated. So now it's really their clarity and connection calls, as I said. And that didn't change because I suddenly decided people should hurry up. No, no, no. It changed because my ecosystem, my content, and my visibility got stronger. And I also want to say you don't have to be certain to book a call. That's not what I'm saying here. You just want to feel enough resonance that the call will be useful, that it won't be you sitting there trying to figure out what I do or whoever you're working with, whoever you're booking a call with, what they do from scratch. It's a grounded conversation. It's not certainty that you're definitely going to work together. It's not perfection. It's just enough alignment that the call actually makes sense to do it together. And it's mutual too, which I think is such an important piece that sometimes gets missed, because it's not just someone deciding if I'm a fit for their business. It's me deciding if I can genuinely help them and whether they're aligned with the way I work too. People fill in a form before they book. It's an application. I read it. I read all of them. And if I don't think I'm the right fit, I will tell them. And it's not because I'm above anything. It's leadership. That's systems doing their job. And that's actually protecting both of us. And this is where your wider ecosystem matters, because those touch points with potential clients are doing the work for you. Even something as simple as a clear website doesn't need to be complicated, doesn't need to be 10 pages. But when you have a simple on-brand aligned presence that articulates your philosophy and your offers clearly, people don't need to book a call, a discovery call, just to figure out what you do or whether they're aligned. They can feel that before they even speak to you. And again, the call then becomes about confirmation and alignment, not convincing, not a sales call. And that's the kind of deeper point I'm getting at here. So if your business is built on trust, particularly, then your visibility and touch points is not just about marketing, it's a relationship layer. It's how people decide you're safe. It's how they understand your standards. It's how they get familiar with the way you are thinking. They get familiar with your thinking. And this is why long form or voice-led content is one of the most powerful ways to build that familiarity, because it lets people hear you think. It lets them be with your pace, your nuance, your little corrections mid-sentence, and all the things that make you you and make you a human being, not just a business. And it doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't have to be cinematic. It just needs to be thoughtful and consistent enough that that proximity can build, right? They can get an understanding of your offerings and how you work. And this is really where that rhythm comes into, and I talk a lot about rhythm. Because if you show up deeply once every few months and then disappear, familiarity resets. Your audience keeps meeting you for the first time. But when you have a steady rhythm, when your authority, connection, nurture, and invitation are woven through consistently, that trust is going to accumulate and your selling becomes steadier. Your calls will feel better, and you are going to stop feeling like you're doing this weird dance where you're either performing or you're hiding. You're performing or you're hiding. You're in and you're out. So if you've been feeling like you're constantly convincing people, you're doing sales calls instead of confirming, don't just jump straight into, I need a better discovery call script. It could be that. Use your discernment here. But don't just jump straight into that. Really step back and ask yourself, where can people actually hear you think? Not where can they see you? Where can they hear you? And I mean hearing, not just listening, but actually like hear you, your whole energy, your aura, right? Because that is so often the missing piece in these connection calls, these discovery calls, these alignment calls, whatever you want to call them. So thank you for spending your time here with me today. I know you're so busy, and I genuinely don't take lightly that you press play or you watch or you listen. So if you've been enjoying the podcast or videocast, I'd be really so grateful if you shared this and left a review, because it helps this reach so many more people building businesses with depth and steadiness. And I will see you in the next episode.